But, guys, we have reached anonymous coach speak season. That means we are one step closer to football being back. You get inside 100 days, coaches start talking to Athlon Sports and Stephen Godfrey of Split Zone Duo anonymously. This is what they had to say about Tennessee. The staff thinks Nico Iamaleava will be the best quarterback they've had in that system. And when they have a quarterback they're confident in, they are as good as anyone on that side of the football. Another coach. The question is going to be what they put around him this season. They don't have an elite wideout or obvious target, but the Tulane transfer, Chris Brazzell, is pretty decent. Third coach. Defensively, they're not at the level of the national title caliber programs in this league, but they're better than when Josh Heupel took over. The floor is higher there, but they have question marks in the secondary. Fourth and final quote, put them right outside of the playoff contenders for now, but the quarterback could be really special. What do we think?
I got no pushback. I think the defense is a little bit better than they're giving it credit for. I think it's a lot of name recognition that they don't know just yet. But as it pertains to, the defense being better than what it was, but not sure if it's a national championship caliber, I think it's that good. I think the transfers that they had in the secondary and the new bodies around will be supported by that front end. Don't be surprised this fall if that front end of the defense is hyper productive for the Vols defense. Just from the conversations I've had with folks, just watching it. And again, the reason we know Georgia is one of those situations where in this same article from Athlon Sports, it brings up Nazir Stackhouse and Warren Brinson. Right, those are two dudes that played well for Georgia last year, right? So you know those name recognitions. Well, you know those guys because of their name and face value, right? And they won a national championship. I think Tennessee has similar type players on that defense this year to where they can go make it very hard for opposing offenses this year, and it'll be a shocker to see the support around this group this year. I promise you, all things that I've been around, heard, talked to with the people that are close to the camp, they will have some dudes this year that play that type of ball for them.
Yeah, it is always interesting because when you think of a Josh Heupel team in the past few years, you do talk more about the offense, right? I mean, there's a lot that revolves around that just because of the type of coach he is and the type of system that he's brought here to Tennessee. And there has been improvements, but there has been improvements on the defensive side. And you're right, especially I think up front this year, you're going to see that. I agree with the secondary questions. Yeah. I'm not going to say that they haven't upgraded or they're not trying to. They're clearly trying to get things figured out in that secondary. But I will say I'll side with that coach on that just because we haven't seen it yet. And I think that's been the question mark even in the past couple of years of how can we shore up this secondary? If you get that figured out and these guys work, these transfers work, dang, like that could be a really good defense. But the stuff about Nico Iamaleava, what I'll say about this is put them outside the playoff contenders right now is what one coach said. I'll say I think they will be a part of the playoffs. And I think that if you're saying all the stuff about Nico Iamaleava being really special, I think that's what gets you to the playoffs. I mean, that's what college football is about now. If you got a quarterback like that, you can get to the playoffs. Now, how far you get, that's another story. But I think Nico can be that guy in his real full season as rookie.
So in that secondary, obviously you have Jacoby Thomas, you have Jermod McCoy, you have young members of that secondary that'll step up, like Caleb Beasley, the Lipscomb Academy product. Is it, Ramon, a matter of one player that you feel like is sticking out in conversations you're having, or is it the group as a whole?
As far as the defensive line goes?
Just the defense in general. I mean, talking about the secondary.
Oh, the secondary. Well, I think for me it's going to start with the D-line because it's going to give that secondary time to grow. Remember, rushing coverage always works together, right? That's usually the case. Now, the secondary, that's not really my forte. I like listening to Blaine Bishop for that one, okay? But as far as the interior goes, right, a guy that's popping up that's been consistently talked about around that program, Bryson Eason.
Yeah.
He, to me, is going to be one of those X factors. I think the growth of David Hobbs, the redshirt freshman this upcoming year. Omar Norman is back. He missed him the latter part of last year, too, because of injuries. You got Big O that's back. You got Tyree West that's growing up also. I mean, there's more depth here than I think there has been in a very long time as it pertains to this group up front. Now, you mentioned the DBs, the secondary. I'm plug and play and just waiting to see what's going to look. The thing
I was just curious because you made the comment of people you're talking to are speaking highly of the secondary specifically.
No, I meant the D-line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I meant the D-line.
I thought you said the secondary.
And I meant it's going to complement the secondary more than I think we're going to give it credit for. The issues that we have is the name recognition of some of these guys. Like, I've heard so much about Bryson Eason, but it's yet to be seen. But from all indication, this dude has first-round caliber talent. And then you throw Omar Thomas in there. And, of course, the rush of James Pierce. And then from behind him, you have, what is his name, Joshua Joseph, another edge rusher that you got to get in. So I'm more optimistic about the front seven than the back end of this thing, too. And, again, what you have is what they wrote in the article, too, is as long as that offense can stay on track, and Nico is a better product than what Joe was last year as far as the distribution of the football, I look at this as a huge opportunity for this group to capitalize on not being the strongest, but probably one of the more efficient teams this year. And it's going to be tough sledding this year with the teams they're going to send, especially with Oklahoma. And it was brought up, too, in this article from Athlon Sports. Venables finally got a defense that he can probably cook with.
Well, and you've got a legitimate game wrecker in James Pierce.
Yeah.
That Derek Barnett was to an extent, but as the number one overall pick potential and the top 10 overall pick potential that James Pierce is, it's interesting to see how much of the Eric Berry treatment he gets from offenses, because you will remember very well in 2009, in Eric Berry's last season at Tennessee, how little production he had because of how much offenses just tried to pick on literally anyone else. Like, you can do that maybe a little bit more with a safety than you can an edge rusher. I mean, you can put two offensive linemen on them, but then who else benefits from the two offensive linemen not being on them? And if it is Bryson Eason, that's good news for Tennessee that he's coming along well.
Yeah, and again, I got more faith in Rodney Garner and their ability to do that. But here's the other thing, though, too. Tim Banks is a candidate for a head coaching job. He's got to send it. I'm talking about full send this year. I'm not sure what his contract situation is, but I look at him as one of those top candidates, whether that be a mid-major or a major college next year. Because I'll be honest with you, I thought last year this defense for the Vols carried the team more than we'd like to give it credit for.
That A&M game specifically, they had no business winning based on how bad they were on offense.
Absolutely not. Kentucky. Yeah. I mean, there were so many moments this past year where this team showed up. Now, you also have the Missouri game. You also have the Florida game. Those two right there, very inexcusable.
And that's linebacker play in both those games in a lot of ways, and you've got your sixth-year linebacker back this year.
Exactly. With a second-year, Arian Carter's had the entire spring off, if I'm not mistaken, too, with the surgery. So I think the article was fair.
Totally fair. I expected worse. No, I'm serious. Like, it's crazy going through the anonymous coach season and not having – like usually Tennessee is the one doing the infighting the way Auburn is right now, because Brian Harsin was criticized, and then Brian Harsin tweeted about it of like, any coaches don't talk like this. Coaches would put their names on that. Buddy, coaches have been anonymously talking about other coaches for forever. Forever.
I can't wait the yap.
A little different in the SEC.
And the fact that in this scenario, Brian Harsin is saying that Stephen Godfrey is trying to say good things about Hugh Freeze. Do 5 minutes of research about those two's history, and you'll clearly see that doesn't make a lot of sense, as Stephen posted on his Twitter account.
It was. What's fascinating, though, is the Arkansas breakdown. I thought everybody in, I guess, Fayetteville understands that Bobby Petrino is the coach in waiting, essentially.
That whole situation's a mess. Sam Pittman is the most pre-fired coach. He is the Mike McCarthy Memorial pre-fired coach of the year in college football.
Sitting on the coals.
He's just waiting.
We should have a running tally of who gets fired first, Mike McCarthy or Sam Pittman.
I thought Shane Beamer in there too.
And Jerry Jones is involved in both
Shane
firings.
I think Shane got a lot stacked against him.
I don't think so, because I don't think South Carolina's expectations are as high as Arkansas.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Natural rival in Clemson's an automatic loss. Not automatic, but I mean, It's a built-in loss that Arkansas doesn't really have.
They got to go win that, is what you're saying. Like, they have to go actually play hard.
Arkansas's got legitimate money. Like, I mean, again, Jerry Jones is involved with the two most pre-fired coaches in football, Sam Pittman and Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
I like Pittman as a guy, though.
I do too. No, I'm with you.
Fire up
I
that
like Shane
jukebox.
Beamer a lot as a guy. Shane Beamer is one of the, I think, nicest, most genuine dudes in the SEC.
I'll believe that when I meet him.
You've got a weird thing against South Carolina.
I do.
He does have
I
something
don't
about
care
it.
enough
You know
about.
why?
I don't care enough
Oh
about
my
South Carolina to
gosh.
hate him. I
I
really don't.
they,
Save it.